Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Grin Guardian Gang. We're glad you're here. Tonight, we've got a special guest, but first I wanted to say something real quick. One of my teammates from my old team in DeKalb County Fire Rescue fell ill after a call the other day and is in Grady ICU. I won't say any names for family protection, but please keep a thought for our first responders out there. He was answering a medical call. It was like the 16th call of the shift that he'd come in, and he got sick and had to be transported. So he's in Grady ICU. Thinking of you. You're a teammate. You will be for life, no matter if I'm not with the department or not. And happy thoughts to him. So, okay, so let's get on with the rest of the show. Tonight, we have a special guest. We have a retired detective, and he is going to tell us all kinds of true stories and horror stories and make us scared and all that good stuff. But let me first bring in my cohorts here. I got Matt. I got Andy. Hi there, guys. How are you?
Hey.
All right, let's bring in, if I can find the button, Mike. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me, man. And my best to your brother that's sick. Hope that goes well.
Yeah. It came as a shock when I got the news that he's younger than me. This damn job will kill you. I mean, I'm just be honest about it.
I hear that.
So, let's see. The chat is open. Cheyenne is already in the chat. Brenda's in the chat. Hello, Brenda. Yes, we can hear you. And let me put up the toll-free number too. That it is open and up, just for Matt and Andy. 1-888-88-YERGZ. That's 1-888-88-YERGZ. That's compliments of Yerg's Radio, which we're going live out now on yergsradio.com. If you're not near a screen and can watch us, you can go pick up the audio there. If you want to call us, give us a call. I'm sure Mike would be glad to answer any questions. So
sure will.
So yeah, I got all the stuff out of the way, I think. So I'm checking the comments to make sure. Yeah, we're looking good. So Mike, you're a retired detective. You have your own show now, and well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're writing a book too, so you got all kinds of stuff going on.
I do. Yeah. Right. My name is Mike Hammond. I'm a retired homicide detective with Chicago Police Department. As a police officer for 22 years, and then the last 16, I worked in homicide. Actually grew up in kind of Western Indiana, but had family here in Chicago and spent a lot of time here, as a kid. And then when I got out of college, moved up here. And about 4 or 5 months ago, my daughter finally convinced me that I should do a podcast. And after making sure that I wasn't going to get all my old, partners mad at me, I decided to do it. It's called Detective Story with Mike Hammond, Detective Story, sorry. And I'm trying to highlight the victims, and talk about the victims. We got some victims' family members have been on a couple, which has been great. And talk about some of the murders that solved, a few, some that are open. Hope still get answers on, so as you guys know, it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it,
It is a lot of work. It's refreshing and rewarding in different ways that most people don't know. People don't understand that helping somebody else solve their problem makes you feel so much better. It really does.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure.
Brenda, I'll give you a little free pump there. You have a retired FBI agent on you there tonight, so good for you. So Brenda's she actually used to be one of my co-hosts, and she decided that she was going to go out and do this stuff on her own. She's regretting it now, but it's a lot of fun. I know when you start a podcast, you think, well, nobody's going to listen to me, and then suddenly you realize there's a lot of people that listen to you, and it's kind of weird.
It is. I agree with that. It is an odd thing, to know that people are interested and want to hear. And, the great thing is that, the victims aren't going to get forgot about. You know what I mean? That's the way I kind of look at it. It's a permanent documentation of who they are. And, so.
Yeah. Yeah. How long were you with Chicago?
22 years.
Ooh, double deuce. That's a long time. You started as patrol, I assume, and worked your way up.
That's correct. Yep. Started as patrolman, worked in the 11th district on the west side for, about 2.5 or 3 years, and then got assigned to a citywide like gang response unit. And then did that for about 2.5 years, 3 years, and then got assigned to narcotics for a year. And then they gave it here, detective is a tested position. And they had not given a detective test in a dozen years or something. And they gave one like, I had 5 years on the job. And I think, I had 5.5 years on the job. And you had to have 5 years, I think, to take it. And I studied harder for that than I did in 4 years of college and 4 years of high school. And I did well, thankfully, and made detective. So.
Cool. Yeah, Chicago's a tough town.
Yeah, it is. We got a lot of violent crime, unfortunately. It was like waves, never stopped. You try and dig in on a case, and then you could dig in for a while, but more coming.
Yeah, it's not like it's pictured on TV. Everybody solves one case, you go to the next.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
How many caseloads do you think you have open at one point in time when you were working it?
After a while, things started getting computerized. At my second, I think they were kind of starting when I made detective, and by 2 or 3 years on, most everything was computerized, which the old timers all hated, of course. But so then I could see the murders assigned to me on my board every time I signed in, which wasn't always awesome. But for most of my career, after 3 or 4 years as detective, I always had somewhere between, a dozen to 25 open murders that were on my board that I was looking at. And you just kind of triage them by, which ones are closest to resolution, and then every once in a while kind of rotate down to the ones that are lower down to make sure nothing's changed, and then you can make sure all the evidence has gotten back, all those things.
I'm assume now that with the computers, the forensics is growing with the DNA and all that stuff, the technology. Is that what do you see? You started in how it's grown.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, DNA technology, they were using in England first for criminal, like probative criminal evidence. And then it came here, and it's really started showing up in our police department actively in the probably early to mid 90s. And then by the time I made detective, it was, known to be a critical part of every case. But what changed a lot was when I was first made detective, you'd need call it blood as your DNA sample that you're taking it from. You'd need something like the size of a quarter for them to be able to get DNA out of it, and as time is going on, and I just was up and talked to some of the guys that I used to work with in the office, and they're telling me now they're redoing a lot of the old DNA cases because the ability to test it has become so minute now. What they couldn't get samples from even a few years ago, now they're able to. So that's great. Yeah, news. Bad news for bad guys, but that's great. I love that. So I got a bunch of old cases that I'm like, hey, take a look at this one. Don't forget about this one. And so yeah, it's active, always changing.
Yeah, we had a major on the Fairfax County Police Department from Virginia, and they started basically their own unit with just the DNA stuff. And he was assigned, I guess his division, since he was a major, was assigned like the cold cases.
Yeah.
And he said, you'd just be surprised how much you can find from just, like you said, a little drop. So it's kind of cool.
It is. I was assigned for 2 or 3 years to our cold case hunt. We had a cold case unit that was funded by federal grants. And that started off with just DNA going back into the cases, 50, 60 years old up to current, just to see if there's, potential DNA evidence that could be worked up. And that was all kind of clerical. And then they got these grants and said, okay, well, we're going to create a unit with detectives actually working the cases. And, that was interesting. It was the first time I really was able, I didn't have to worry about new cases coming in all the time, just focus on the cases that I had in front of me and looked at murders, 50, 60 years old. It was really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's something I saw thought about the other day. Israel was attacked with like 300 bombs and missiles and whatever, and they had one 7-year-old girl injured. But yet over the weekend in Chicago, like 14 people were killed that were under like 15 or something. And I'm like, is nobody paying attention? That happened in our back door.
Yeah, I mean, that's a constant. One of the, I don't live with this, I don't let myself kind of it occupy that much of my brain, but yeah, it's been a constant source of irritation for me since I got to the West Side and, the early 90s. It's like literally nobody cares. It has been like a war out here. In fact, in one of the last podcast I did is about a young woman who was stabbed to death in her apartment in 1974, and that case was kind of handed down generationally to different detectives, and two guys that taught me a lot about being a homicide detective kind of passed it on to me. See what you can find out with this. And there's some kind of Chicago mob connections to it potentially, whatever, but we're coming up in the 50th anniversary of that. But the point of that is, when I was doing the research for that podcast, I just decided I was going to try and count how many murders had happened since she had got murdered, coming up on 50 years. And the number was 31,000 odd murders in that 50 years. Wow. 30,000 murders in this city. And the number's not exact. I had an exact number, but I'm not going to claim that number is exactly the right number, because I got it from like open source data, several different, just kind of put it together. This is my best guess, but it's definitely within a couple hundred, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is the casualties of a war. I mean, if you think about it, that's the body count.
Yeah. And like the majority of our murders are really made up of, for the control of drug money. Right. It's gang related, but it's really mostly about the control of narcotic sales, which is very lucrative in this city and most places. Right. So, so I spent a lot of time talking to, gang members and some like outfit guys, mafia type, but they're kind of dwindled in the last, 15 years. But the gang guys believe that they're in a war. I mean, they don't think of themselves as murderers. They think of themselves as soldiers in a war. And in a lot of ways, it's about what it is, it's not, you can't give them a pass for that. Obviously, you still got to solve those murders and try and arrest people and charge them. But yeah, I mean, that's because we've pretty much left those neighborhoods to their own, and hope that the police can solve the problem, then blame the police when they can't. It's a scary mess.
It's like that in every town.
Yeah.
I worked in Atlanta, the east side, DeKalb County. And it was nothing. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depending on what night you worked, you were going to get at least one murder. I mean, that was just the way it was. You go in knowing that. And, you can't take it home with you, but after a while, it does wear on you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure. You're right. They do describe themselves as soldiers, because I've transported the bad guy too, because unfortunately, it's going to sound wrong, but we have to take care of both sides of the party, whether, good or bad. And I've transported, and they're like, I don't care. No big deal. Like, you just stabbed a guy in his neck. How is that no big deal? I don't understand the mentality, but you're right. And that's the way they do think about it. It's so weird. And the larger cities, the organized crime, a lot of people don't realize. the gang influence from outside of our country is very heavy in Atlanta. I talked to somebody today and they said that it's about to get incredibly worse. I don't understand the dynamics of it. We've been in this war on drugs since, well, I can remember under the Reagan era. And he said that it's about to get worse because the price of fentanyl per pill is now down around 25, 35 cents a pill, where it used to be like $30 a pill. He said it's about to get really worse in Atlanta. And I'm like, how do you know that? And he's like, my contacts.
Yeah, makes sense, right? Because that, it's just going to create more competition for shorter money, right? So that always leads to violence. And I do understand the dynamics. So I spent my whole adult life talking to, drug addicts and that. And, in my opinion, we lost the war on drugs a long time ago. We should have raised that white flag a long time ago and taken a different approach. But and now the fentanyl it's horrifying. It just is. It's just everything, incarnation of the new drug just seems to be scarier and scarier, starting with crack cocaine in the 90s, right? And methamphetamine. It's just like, wow, like, it's pretty soon they're going to create a zombie drug, and kind of fentanyl is just about that. When people build up the kind of tolerance to be addicted to it, it is like zombie land. It's scary.
Yeah. I remember one a call that I ran specifically. She was a waitress, and she had, full whatever guests at her table. She went on break to have her cigarette, and they found her out back unconscious. We got there. She was in full cardiac respiratory arrest. Take one pill. Well, yeah. I don't think she took it. She snorted it. Yeah. And, we got her back in there because she was young, and everything worked out. She was young. They had an AED. She was on the job.
Yeah.
And she had a line of customers out there, and it was almost like you said, a scene out of like Zombieland. I mean, it really was so strange and odd. So,
yeah, it's bad news. A whole lot of bad news.
All right, do you miss the job, or do you still? Because from my end, I miss it, but yet there are times I go, "What the hell was I thinking?"
Yeah, no, I think I got out when the expiration day just hit on me. I loved being a homicide detective. It's kind of what I always wanted to do. I feel really lucky I got the opportunity to do it, especially in this city. But, kind of just, dealing with the victims' families, which I always tried to take care of those relationships. That wasn't always 100% altruistic, because a lot of times I just knew the victims' families were going to often hear more than us. And if I didn't have a relationship with them, they didn't trust me, they weren't going to tell me. But on the other hand, you can't, if you try and fake empathy in that, it's going to be worse, and they're going to know. So you kind of have to let them in and give them access to you. In my head, there's some detectives that feel, no, you should never do that. And I understand that. In some ways I don't disagree, but it just wasn't my style, but it wears on you. And so when I was done, I was done. And I was, you're talking about the weekend there and people and the number of murders and that, I realized that I was actually retired the first time I kind of walked out on my front porch, and it was a sunny, warm day. And I thought, oh, it's a nice day, instead of thinking what I thought for years on a nice, sunny, warm day. Oh man, going to be busy today. You know what I mean? I don't miss that. I like talking about it. I do miss in some ways work in the cases. I have to be really, aware when somebody starts to talk to me about a case, or somebody asks me to watch a documentary, and I start, getting my head wrapped into it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to, whatever, Schenectady, New York, or whatever, wherever it is, and solving this murder. So let's not go down that, mental road. But that part of it, I don't think ever goes away for somebody who really enjoys doing it, the need to get answers. But I live with it comfortably now. It's like I don't want to be doing that anymore.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I miss the job. I don't necessarily miss the calls. I miss the job and the people probably more than anything. And it's fun. You do wake up and thinking, oh, it's a rainy day. We're going to have lots of wrecks, or it's a sunny day. There's going to be kids out. You do. Even going into a restaurant and sitting down, I notice where all the exits are, where the fire extinguishers are, the AEDs, the quickest way out.
Yeah.
My wife says I'm jaded, but that's all I've done my adult life. So, it's just second nature. So, what's your book going to be about? Is it about the unsolved cases?
No, it's actually a fictional kind of account of what it's like to be a homicide detective on, on the west side of Chicago or the south side of Chicago. I mean, it started as kind of like cathartic short stories that a friend suggested I do and I liked it, but I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not fronting myself off. I'm not fronting out the victims' families, the people I worked with and then somebody, a friend of mine who's a writer, suggested, why don't you do it fictionally? And then once I started doing that, I'm like, well, I felt a lot, more free to kind of tell some of these stories and just tweak them enough that, I'm not going to, hopefully, knock on wood, keep getting, served with subpoenas and deposed, but, so yeah, that's what it is. It started as a bunch of kind of short stories about the life, and then now I'm kind of turning it into one just, storyline.
Cool. You can get a whole series like Dirty Harry series. So.
Yeah, I'll be happy to finish one, and then okay, this like all I really care about is the people I worked with read it and like whether they like it or not, at least say, yeah, well, that's authentic. At least that's the way it was. That's really all I care about, because I do enjoy the process of writing, but I'm certainly nobody's going to be comparing me to Ernest Hemingway anytime soon.
I had an author on the other night on my other show, and he was talking about once you put yourself out there with a book, you got the people that write the reviews and all that. He says it's kind of like you don't want to be out there, you put your toe in, and next thing you know, you're expecting a shark to come bite it off when you put your toe in the water. Yeah. He said it's just once you're out there, he said it's just wide open. So yeah. Are you self-publishing, or are you?
I don't know yet. It's about probably 70% done, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that end of it. I kind of wait and see how I feel about it when I'm finished, and then kind of figure that out then. As I sit here now, I don't really have a strong answer for that. I just will be glad to kind of get it finished, because once I didn't realize, I should have, I suppose, that doing the podcast is as much work as it is, and especially kind of do it by myself. I have this awesome 19-year-old young lady in New Jersey who does my editing, and without her, I would be deep in the weeds, I will tell you, because I tried to teach myself some editing. I'm like, all right, this is not sustainable. Like, I will never get anything done, and so I put an ad on Upwork, which is, one of those hiring things. And I said, I'm doing this. I kind of give my bona fides, but I don't really have, a kind of revenue stream to pay very much. And I got a lot of responses, which was awesome. But for whatever reason, hers really stuck with me. She's like, I studied audio video in high school. I want to do more of it. And she seemed very earnest, and I gave her some stuff to do. She's done a great job. She's kind of learned with me, but she's ahead of me. You know what I mean? In terms of where she's at editing and where I'm at as a podcaster. So so that's good. I'm lucky, very lucky with that.
I am blessed too. Cheyenne is probably, since she showed up, helped me the most out of anyone, and she's been like done stuff I haven't even asked. She comes up, she's awesome. Like, you need this, and so yeah, you're lucky if you find that person. and I appreciate the heck out of Cheyenne. But yeah, you're right. It is a lot of work because, after it takes you a couple hours to get this set up, and then you got to get it promoted. I tell you to promote it. I have Matt, Andy promote it. Cheyenne promotes it. My friends promote it. And then you get the actual show. After the show's done, you download it. And then if it's going out, like some of mine go out to FM radio, you have to make it FM radio quality. You have to go in and take out all the little uhs and any noises and make it FM quality. And 1 hour worth of podcast can turn into like 6 in editing. It's crazy.
No doubt. And all those years of testifying in front of juries and judges and grand juries and depositions and all that. I always loved going to court and testifying, but I was very cognizant of everything I said, and I was comfortable talking in front of people. And I go to talk to, class of schools, and their friends are school teachers, and I would never say or every and especially in front of a jury or a judge. I just very measured in that, and now I can't stop. I record myself and I'm like, what is going on? I can't stop with this, but it's just a whole different animal, sitting staring at a camera by yourself.
It is. And with doing the paranormal, I've had some weird things happen too. So I can't. The other night, my show completely blipped out. I was on YouTube on my screen talking to myself, and everybody was gone. And suddenly I appeared back on screen, and they had been on the show for 2 minutes without me. I have no clue.
Whatever that ghost was didn't want you talking, or will send you some message, I guess.
Yeah, well, that was a person talking about ET. So,
okay.
Yeah, ET I don't like to play with. ET has technology. So, but yeah, and yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong. I unplugged my headphones today at my son's advice, and my computer just lost its mind because I plugged the headphones. It's like, you never have the headphones unplugged. Now what are you doing? So, but it is rewarding. It is fun, and I've dragged Matt and Andy into this to help me out. And Matt encouraged me a lot to do the coin show. So that's what got this one going. And we're excited. We're only like 15 episodes in on it, but we like to have people in, talk and have a little bit of fun, and then talk about coins. So, and of course, I always want to promote, you got your own show. We want people to hop over there and listen to it. And
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the other weird thing, that at first, the podcast family is pretty dang incredible. We take care of each other. We pump each other's shows. We invite each other on each other's shows. And so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So once you get settled in, it's kind of cool. I think you'll like it. Yeah. And there's always, and like you said, there's a million podcasts out there. And if there's something that you want to talk about, you can always find something.
Right. Yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, I'm so pathetic with social media. I think my daughter, she can do literally in 5 minutes what would take me hours to figure out. How do you tag people? She's like, Dad, look, I'll do it. Like by the time I try and tell you, I could have it done an hour ago. So all right. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Love you.
Matt shaking his head up there. He's my AI king. He can do everything in like 2 minutes. Brenda, stop spreading those rumors. You're going to make Chris jealous. So stop that. Or on comments all. Yeah, like I said, Brenda, and she's got a show coming on here soon too. So, yeah, we have fun, make fun of each other. But yeah, Matt is we challenged him one night to come up with a coin design. In what, like 5 minutes? You had like 2 of them designed.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good I didn't do it. It was like the computers. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Yeah. BP was done.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Skynet did it.
Whatever secret squirrel stuff you do for the government, man, it's pretty cool when you do here.
Yeah.
Well, I've talked a lot, guys. You guys any questions for Mike before we get into talking about the coin stuff?
Oh, I got a question for Mike.
Sure.
So, Mike, are you familiar with the 23andMe and all them things?
Yes. A little
DNA
bit. Yeah.
testing. So I don't know. Don't need to go into depth and detail, but I've heard in the news that they've actually been like linking people to like, maybe some kind of murders or, something down the road that, like you didn't even know it was your third cousin who's a serial killer.
That's
Have you heard
a
of stuff
fact.
like that?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. It
That's
is.
crazy.
It really is. I mean, I think that, it's like you try not to give too much away, but I think there's, everybody's pretty much aware of it now. But yeah, that's especially with some of these older cases. There's one going on right now in the city here where friends of mine were a case. I don't want to get too much into it, obviously, because they may get somewhere with it, but it's a case from the 70s that we really wanted to see some resolution to, and that's exactly what happened with it. It connected to familial DNA, and so they're working down that string, now, and it's pretty incredible. And I don't know what the privacy stuff is with that when you sign up for it, but it must not be too stringent, or maybe I don't know, but yeah. If you got a dirty past, I would, talk to your attorney before you decide how badly you wanted to know how, who your great grandfather was. Yeah, for sure. Yes, it's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife talked me into doing the thing of ancestry.com was the one that we did. And I told her, I said, we may have some people show up, but we don't know or like, so.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. You find out things about your family potentially that you're not too excited about. That's part and parcel. I mean, you got to accept that, or accept the fact it might happen anyway.
And one of her uncles apparently had a child in California that just recently popped up, and I mean that's our age.
Yeah.
That she never knew. She introduced herself like, "Hey, we're first cousins." Were you?
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah.
Uncommon Soul is in the audience tonight, and she wants to know: are there real mob bosses in Chicago?
So we had a big mob trial. The FBI is called the Family Secrets Trial, and that was in the early 2000s, like 2004 or 5 range. And that pretty much gutted the leadership of the Chicago mob, like Joe Lombardo and those guys. Were all convicted. The Calabrese family, was sons and brothers and dads, were all heavily involved, and a couple of them flipped and really told the entire story of what was going on with the mob, and that kind of ended. Now what's left is there's still remnants. I don't think they're ever going to completely go away, but like gambling's almost legal now, right? So, but the deal with that is like people who are like addicted gamblers, they can't get credit from a casino, right, or an online gambling thing, right? So there always will be that market for illegal gambling, right? Off the books gambling. And I think, that what gets them is in trouble and caused them problems over the years was collecting, when they breaking people's legs and making them disappear when they didn't pay. So I just don't think they even do that anymore. If you don't pay them, they just cut you out. Don't give you any more credit. And to a gambler, I think that's worse. They'd rather have their legs broken than to not have a place to gamble. And there's still some burglary, fencing stuff going on. A lot of it, but it's not at all like it was. There's no, if there's a hierarchy, I always knew quite a bit about the outfit. I kind of inherited that knowledge. I had a guy kind of grown up in that who I talked to a lot about it. I worked on a lot of the old outfit murders and when I was in cold case, and And as I sit here now, I really couldn't tell you if there's structure who might. There's one guy probably out there that is, probably got some whack, but he's keeping a very low profile if he does. So, yeah, the answer is not a lot left. I mean, they're still there. You can never, say they're gone, but they're very, very low key. No interest in, like, we won't see any more Gottis or, Sam Giancanas, I don't think, that enjoy being in the limelight.
Yeah, I know. In my area, I grew up in Appalachia's, East Tennessee Hills. Moonshine was a thing. Now it's legal.
Yeah, right.
So,
I see that. I go down south, they're selling moonshine. Like, you see it in the liquor stores here, like selling moonshine. I'm like, that's my grandfather used to have some in his freezer he kept. And I think you could have run your car on it. You could have started a lawnmower with it, and you can drink it, I guess. But yeah, that's the world's changed. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they still have, I guess, I don't know what they call them, revenuers now. But they still have a job for that department, so there's got to be something for them to do. But it's not like the movies where they go up in the mountains and they take the hammers and arrest people and bust up the stills and stuff.
Yeah, right.
They turned all that legal. And the funny thing is, in East Tennessee, having met so many of these people, they actually, when they went legal, had a great business plan and a great model and took off. It was crazy.
Well, it's because they had the logistics and the distribution networks down, right?
Exactly. Yeah, one day they were common criminals, the next day they got a suit and tie on.
Right. How about it? It's the American way.
Exactly. Did you start seeing a lot of cybercrime or anything? You're in the murder, or I don't want to call it the murder bureau, but did you see a lot of cyber crimes up there?
There's a lot. We didn't get. First of all, I probably wasn't sharp enough to ever have done that. But we started seeing more of it. Our financial crimes and computer crimes units kept getting bigger and bigger, and those. The people that worked in those units were a great resource for us. Like, I mean, we'd be looking for somebody on a murder, sometimes a witness, sometimes an offender. And it's frightening how much information a really talented financial crimes detective can get at. And same with the IRS agents, Secret Service agents do a lot of that financial crime stuff. And they can find a needle in a haystack no matter where somebody's hiding, if they're unless they're paying everything in cash. And nowadays the technology, even beyond that, there's cameras everywhere, and there's these phones that we carry all have chips that tell us where we're at, where we're going. So the whole technology of not just homicide investigations but all criminal investigations has changed significantly.
Yeah, I know. I think the case in Idaho, where the person suspected of murdering, I think, the 4 college kids. I might be wrong on the state, but his, I don't know what you want to call it, alibi, I guess, is a cell phone, because it tracked him out driving around, and they can ping it for those hours. It's, who would have thought about that?
Yeah. But there's answers for that potentially, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You're smart enough to realize that's going to be a problem. You throw your phone in somebody else's car or whatever. So that in itself doesn't necessarily cut them out, but maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my point. I don't think it'll get him off either. But I think it's just crazy how they could just ping you and find you. I went to a friend's communications center about 2 years ago, and they had 911 separate on one side, where they took all the incoming 911 calls, and then they had this entire branch for the police department that sat and watched cameras for the city and for the county. And I mean, screens the size of a wall. And the guy was showing me, he goes, pick a vehicle. And I was like, Dodge Ram. He said, color. I said, red. He says, what time? I said, midnight. I just gave him some specifics. He pulled up on a big screen every Dodge Ram pickup that had driven through the city between the hours of like 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. And my question to him that just blows me away still that I don't have an answer to is he could pick them out and they were always moving around doing whatever, wherever they went through the city. There was no other cars there. In the picture, I said, okay, this occurred. There had to be other cars. He goes, oh, it takes them out. Yeah. You specifically asked for a red Dodge pickup or whatever. I was like, so what's stopping somebody from putting in a purple Charger? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So where does that technology go? And now with, we kid with Matt a lot about the AI. The AI, I think in the future is going to play huge parts in this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a little frightening, I think, when you don't understand technology, and even if maybe it's more frightening if you do. I don't know, but yeah, it's going to change a lot of things for sure.
Well, we talked about that too in the previous one, Glenn, about using AI with like emergency services and stuff like that. Like as far as the response time goes, and getting people help. I mean, there's always positive sides to it as well.
Sure.
So hopefully that's the direction they go in.
Yeah. For sure. Like, I mean, when I first started on the job, you'd hear a policeman get on the air screaming for help, and if they're being shot at or in some pitched battle with somebody, you kind of staying alive's priority one. So getting on the radio calling for help priority two, but getting the address out there, and you're just freaking out trying to get to them, but you don't have no idea where they're at until they say, until somebody or some 911 caller calls in and says, hey, the police, somebody's shooting at the police at this corner or whatever. And then slowly or surely, they put GPSs in the squad cars, and now, they can tell exactly where you're at. And the only downside to that is if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, but shouldn't be doing that anyway. But, there is none of that. Somebody gets on the air, they tag the radio, and then they could tell you, yep, this is where they're at, which is a really good thing.
Yeah. Well, I want to say it's Prince George's County or Rockville. It's up in Maryland, just outside of DC. The 911 communications center actually has a drone, and they have so many interstate wrecks that the drone will be dispatched and go up and see, it's eastbound, westbound, 10 cars, there's tractor trailer on fire as the units are being dispatched. That's to me is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's a great help, but dang. And I know from working on a beltway, 285, nobody knows where they are when they get in a wreck. They don't know if they're east, west, north, south. And, now you're right with the GPS. That wasn't so much a factor when I was doing it. And when you get it from a car wreck, they don't necessarily ping them like they do, or should, but, they can't tell you they're on this lane or whatever. But I think it's incredible, the technology. So.
Yeah, for sure. And that whole drone technology, it'd be amazing to see where that goes. I know, I'm sure Matt knows more how much you could say. I understand, but military is using the drone technology with amazing, success and accuracy, and I'm sure it's saved a lot of our soldiers, and it's going to be that way for the police department too. We used to have one helicopter. And, it was really only useful when a chase went on for a really long time, or you're searching for an area, or they happen to be up in the sky when you're looking for somebody. Then, they get on the air and say, I can't remember their call sign, like CPD-1 or something. And they'd say, we're in the air. And like, really? That's awesome. And we see LA they seem to be on everything. It was like, wow, that'd be awesome. Now, I think we've got a couple, and we got some because of the Democratic National Convention is going to be here this year. I think we've gotten 2 or 3 more as federal grants. But I think that eventually, a lot cheaper to send up drones, right? And more efficient if you have people that understand the technology. And I'm sure there are more and more people coming out of the military that understand that technology keenly, right? So that's going to be a resource that these big departments, or all departments, but the ones with big budgets tap into, I would guess.
Yeah, there's an actual rate. So in the military, there's an actual drone rate now where you literally go to school to learn how to fly a drone from any area, which is it's crazy. Like it doesn't seem much of a crazy job. Might be kind of just slow. They're just like
Yeah. They say it's. I mean, I don't have any idea, but I've been told it's almost like flight school. I mean, to learn to fly them, or to get certified to fly them. But
yeah, there's also a. I was watching YouTube. There's a short. It was a company. I forgot the name of the company, but did I tell you about it, Glenn? About the drone that's the size of a quarter?
No, he
didn't. They demonstrated that. No, so you can YouTube it. It's not like anything. It's public knowledge. So it was like the size of a quarter, and the guy was. They had this drone on a big screen behind the guy, and he was he had it in his hand, right, and he just kind of like threw it up in the air, right. It just like stayed there. This thing is stinky. It's small, right, and this thing, the small little tiny thing, was controlled by AI. It didn't have a remote control or anything. It just went on his commands. It was pretty cool. And then this is like getting into like
oh yeah, I kind of don't like the sound of that. That's got this Blade Runner feel to it.
Yeah, so he demonstrated this little drone the size of a quarter crashing into something, and it was enough force to knock someone out. Like getting shot with what do you call those things? The fatal, lethal weapon kind of thing. Lethal, like you just whistled, and then poof, it just poof right in the screen. But he's like it's the size of a quarter with a camera that you could see. Like it wasn't like high resolution, but it was a camera built into it, and it was all based off AI. So Skynet's coming. Skynet's coming, guys.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I get bored sometimes, but yeah, that's what I read about.
Yeah, right.
Well, I can't imagine that officers and even the firemen in the future. I mean, drones are going to be fighting fires too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They got drones in their vehicles right now, Glenn. You could buy right now. You could fly yourself.
Oh yeah,
a man-made car to drone that the billionaires could probably fly in. They got propellers. You just take off.
I've seen those.
I've
seen video. I think of drones fighting. Fire shoot in tall buildings, and that I don't know how it gets its like water source or liquid source to fight the fire. Maybe it's a chemical. I don't. You guys would know better than me. But
yeah, it depends. There's some that have that will be attached to a hose, but it's not putting out water because what's a gallon of water? 8 pounds times it by however many gallons, and then you're going the vertical lift. Yeah. They're using a foam.
Yeah.
Basically, so it's still connected. The ones I've seen, but in the near future, these big fires and stuff, they'll be putting in robots. Mm-hmm. Or AI will be, and well, it's good. And like you were talking about knowing where the police officers are. Well, even some of the fire departments now in our gear on our air packs we have. In case we get lost or disoriented in the building, we identify, I'm not sure how the police department does, but the front of the building is the A side, the left is B, the back is Charlie, and the far side on the right is the Delta side. And if you get in the house and you get lost, that's the first thing they ask you. What floor are you on, and what are you close to, A, B, C, or D? Well, now these new air packs have chips in them. The commander out front can see where you are in real time in that building.
Yep, on the computer system.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we've had, unfortunately, a couple of firefighters killed in the last few years here in Chicago. I think both of them were. I'm talking out of school here a little bit because I don't know the exact story, but I do believe that both of them were kind of situations where they got lost in a building. So yeah, that's great news to hear that.
Oh yeah. It's easy to do. I got lost in a walk-in closet, and twice in two different states actually. Once in Tennessee, and then it happened here in Atlanta too. And you get a little bit of panic mode because you don't have a hose to follow out.
Yeah,
But you crawl in a room and it feels big and huge. You think you're in a master bedroom, you're in a walk-in closet, the door slams behind you, and you don't realize it. You're crawling in a circle. You get a little scared. So yeah, it can happen pretty easily. Yeah. It's happened to me a couple times, and it's technology. That's why I always like to stay on the hose. The apocalypse now. Don't leave the boat.
Yeah, right. I hear that.
Don't leave the hose.
I don't like heights, and I'm not particularly fond of fire, so that was never going to be in the cards for me. Being I'll take getting shot at once every few years as compared to going up in big buildings that are on fire. Yeah, no thanks.
I appreciate what you do, but see, I'm chicken. I don't want to get shot at. I couldn't be a cop because I'd probably shoot somebody because I'd be too afraid.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't recommend it, but it's, at least I got my feet close to the ground.
Yeah, it's true. So, Mike, I don't want to keep you all night, but I do want to talk to you about challenge coins. What kind of coins do you have, and what's your stories with them? Yeah, so actually, I was never a guy that collected a lot, and two of the good ones that I have somewhere I couldn't find. I have one that Texas. So in cold case, we traveled a lot because it was a federal grant, and cases, are old, and people stretched to the four winds, and so we got to do a lot of travel, and I met detectives and policemen all over the country. But actually the coins that are my favorite are the Chicago ones. And this one was going to be, this one is, it says 640 on it. You see there, it's got Chicago flag. It says 640. And then it's the Chicago Police Department Area 4 Detective Division on the other side. That's where I worked. And they closed that 3 years before I retired. And so when we got these, are like, these are going to be never seen again. But thankfully, they've reopened Area 4. And I was up there last week, and so we might see these again, but that's my favorite one because I'm very proud of being from Area 4. And this one is the generic Chicago Police Detective Division with Sherlock Holmes, which I think's wholly inappropriate because we rarely solve any crimes the way Sherlock Holmes did. But and it's got the Chicago Police Detective badge. Well, you can see it there, but our badges always said detective across here, is how you could tell the difference between that and patrolman. It says patrolman on the other side. And this one, somebody gave me a retired, which is not at all politically correct, but it is Murder City, it says there. And truth, justice, the American way, with the skull in the Chicago police hat. I got this Plainfield, Indiana one that I like because the guy who was the deputy chief of the Plainfield Police Department lives next door to my brother, and he's a great guy. And Plainfield's a suburb of Indianapolis there. And again, all these are from Chicago. Well, anyway, and then my guy Vic Shaw up at Norwood Royal Cigars on the northwest side probably has the biggest humidor in this Midwest. And he, as you can see, he does a great job of supporting first responders. He's always, anytime a first responder is injured severely or killed, he donates money from his sales to the family and stuff. A good man. And there's a lot of businesses that do that, but I happen to like a good cigar every once in a while. So all the ones I have are Chicago ones. I do have others. I just couldn't find them for this. I'm not a guy, like I said, that collected them, but I have a good friend who's a Minneapolis homicide detective, and we do a lot of work back and forth because our gangs kind of go back and forth. And I had one from Minneapolis. I got that one from the Texas Rangers. I did some work. They helped me out on a case I went down to Houston on. But that's about all I got. I mean, I was never one of those guys that really collected them, but I'm proud of the ones that I do have. So I should have probably done more, but it's never too late.
No, right? How about it? Yeah, how about it? I know guys that collected the old Chicago. There's been, I don't know, in recent history, at least 4. But in the total history of Chicago Police Department, there's been probably a dozen different incantations of our badge, our star, and people collect those. But this one is what the badge looks like now. It's got that little white thing in the middle with the city of Chicago's, seal on it. And then it says, if you're a patrolman or detective, they're white. If you're a sergeant, a white shirt, we call them, or above, those stars are gold. But actually maybe sergeants, I don't know, whatever. But it's, they say detective on them if that's your rank, or patrolman. Let's see, these have the old badge. Nope. I have my old badge and my new one in, they gave it to me in like a, what do you call it? Clear, hard,
presentation case.
Yeah, it's a presentation case, but it's inside of it. It's
shadow box type thing.
Yeah, it's not a shadow box. It's actually like, why am I not? I can't come up with the word. The clear, like liquid you put over like bars.
Epoxy resin.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I should have brought that. I could run out and grab it and show it to you, but that's cool. I'm proud of, I like that, to have that,
Yeah, I noticed all of yours were round. Is the round what you prefer, or out of your ones you've got, or do you have any that are odd shape sizes? Or
I do not. All of mine are round, I think. I don't have any odd shaped ones. In fact, that one that Matt was showing us earlier is that you guys have is like one of the more unusual ones that I've seen. But again, it's not. I can't claim to be a aficionado of that, because I just they're cool, but I don't. I always thought of that as kind of a military thing, and so I always felt a little like I'm stepping on their toes. But I have no problem with it. I think it's great. They're pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, Matt, have you got one of the new ones yet?
No, the Deadpool one's coming next week. I was gonna wait till we're done talking to show you a video on it. But the one I was shown, the one I was given, I gave one to Shay too. That he's talking about the Golden Gun one. Yeah,
it's pretty.
And
awesome.
he's right. He's absolutely right. Yes, the military does pride themselves in doing, coins that are obviously not,
Yeah,
normal coins, right? Like this is a hanger coin with a golf ball marker that comes off in the middle. I mean, come on, really?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's this
cigar cutter. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, cigar cutter, right? And they got a Terminator here, one that's about 26 millimeters in thickness that you could probably kill somebody with, but we just call it a paperweight because it's all it is. Just
that'll definitely mark.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
So, but what I was going to get into, the ones I make are maybe not your traditional round ones. That's why Glenn was asking if you preferred the traditional, because there's all kinds of. There's hat boxes. There's Baby Yoda's holding, little cups with chief hats on and everything. So, but as far as challenge coins, a challenge coin to me is, and Glenn could probably tell you too, like it's how you interpret it, how you take it, right? So if I was to give this to one of my sailors, like, hey, who chief gave this to me? Like, to them, this is, it means something, right? Not just
sure.
It's a piece of metal that this guy gave me. So
no, I mean, right, I get it. I mean, like I said, that Area 4 coin, I'm proud of that thing because first of all, I was lucky to be working there, and some incredible homicide detectives there and great bosses, and I love that coin, and especially when it closed, that we're not going to see these again. I am happy though that they reopened it, because they need a detective division out there on the west side. It was an economic decision, I think, that didn't play out well and didn't last very long.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, so you got challenge coins because they mean something to you. They're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone give it to you, you give it to somebody, and you smile. He's like, oh yeah, I know where that's from. That's
right. I mean, and so like I have some of these others because when I go out of town, I know that a lot of people will love them, well, this one I got for my retirement, but like this detective division one, when I knew I was going out of town, I was going to see other policemen or whatever, I'd go buy our FOP and buy a bunch of these and take them with me. And they are cool, even though the Sherlock Holmes thing always kind of tickled me. Like, yeah, we don't really solve murders that way, like but it's still cool because of the the detective badge on it. So and guys that and women that like them, we're always glad to get them. So I get it. I totally do. The thing that strikes me as odd, though, with like the ones you have there from yours and from the military, they're cool, but you're not going to carry those around your pocket. I don't think, right?
No. This is definitely not something I'd want to carry in my pocket.
No,
this is
right.
like 4.5 inches long.
So I get injured with
yeah,
that.
no, I do have the traditional round ones. Actually, my very first challenge coin I ever got. I'm sure most people, they're round. That's what I was just saying. Like over the years, they've been getting crazy things. But that's the cool thing about challenge coins. I mean, it's literally just your imagination how far you want to take it. I've seen coins with sand inside of them, with water inside of them.
Yeah,
that work like gears when you open them up. Like it's pretty cool, And it's cool that the police force and the fire departments and everybody has their own thing with challenge coins, and it just carries on very far. So.
Yeah, it is, and it makes you think. Like the one I showed you, Plainfield, Indiana. It's not a big. It's a pretty big suburb. It's not, but it means something to me because the guy gave it to me is a really good guy. He's a good policeman, and I like him a lot. And so I like having this. You know what I mean? So that's I get that. I totally do. It when it has something personal to me like that, I like it a lot.
You guys ever go out with your buddies and someone taps their coin in the bar and they're like, "Hey, let's see it, boys. Where's it at?" And you're like,
No, and so I do take that as a very military thing. I've never seen I've never seen that. You go tapping on the bar, then everybody assumes that you're round, you know what I mean? Yeah. So nobody's got the courage to do that very often. Like, hey, Mike's getting around. Like, oh, okay, all right. This is Chicago after all, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, no, never really saw that. There are officers, policemen are really into it and have extensive collections. I know a lot of people I worked with have extensive collections, but it's not something that like we walk around with, like that Area 4 coin. I wouldn't walk around with that because I'd be afraid to lose the thing, and I'm not going to get another one, not like this. You know what I mean? But the only time, like if I'm going to meet somebody's coming in from out of town, and even if they're not a policeman now, I know they've got interest in meeting me or whatever, then I'll take one to give it to them. And it does mean a lot to people, I think, and it means a lot to me when they're given to me. It's just, I didn't really go out of my way to collect them. Or patches is another big thing. That was, I think, before the challenge coins. The challenge coins started with you guys in the military. Before that, it was patches. And there are bars in Chicago that like are lined with patches from police departments around the world, really. And I remember I was out, and my ex-brother-in-law and I who I'm still really close with, but like our joke is that I got custody of him in divorce, but we went out to Boulder, Colorado, just like to get away, right? And this is 20, it's a long time ago, 30 years ago. But with a hotel, we got a hotel room there in what do you call it? The town right outside the Rocky Mountain National Park, where the Shining Hotel is, the town I'm talking about, whatever. The hotel we stayed in, that town was having a bagpipe festival. And so there are bagpipe bands, police bands from all over the world there. And the they were all in our hotel bar. So we go down there, and my brother-in-law was in his glory. He owns a bar, he's a bartender, and there was an Australian bagpipe band there and a one from England. And you can really get yourself deep in the woods trying to keep up with policemen from Australia and England drinking, right? And they wanted, one of them from Australia wanted something from Chicago, something. So I said, well, I don't carry a lot of that stuff on a trip like this, but let me go see one of the things we are known for, and this is pretty dark, but it's just one of the things our t-shirts here used to be really well known, our homicide t-shirts, because it's Chicago police homicide, and at the bottom it says our day starts when yours ends, right? So and I had one of those t-shirts, and I said, I'm just going to give him this t-shirt, and I took it to him, and the guy was like almost in tears, and he took off his uniform shirt. He is from Victoria, Australia. He took off his uniform shirt and gave it to me, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to take your uniform, man. Are you going to need, I got more. Hey, take it. So I'm like, okay, and I still have that thing, and their slogan in Victoria, Australia is uphold the right. And it's on there. Like, so that's pretty awesome to have, but, but I hope he wore that t-shirt out in Australia. I'm sure he did,
Yeah. I feel you on that one too, Mike, because I was over in Italy, and I got a parking ticket because I was going too fast, because it's Italy, it's pretty much drive as fast as you want. And this national, for an Italian national, he was helping me like pay my ticket out in town. And at the time I was making challenge coins on the ship. I made the one, it was a sword and a shield. The sword actually came out of the shield. And after he'd helped me like pay off my parking ticket because I couldn't speak Italian, I just happened to have like an extra one, at the ship. So I was giving it when I gave it to this guy was about to cry. Like, he's like, "Oh, no. Like, it's okay, man. It's all good. You hooked me up, so you up, bro." Like, like people appreciate that, the humbleness.
Oh,
too.
Sure. I gave a taxi driver in Japan one of my business cards, and because I heard it was a big thing over there, and I went over to see a buddy of mine actually compete in the Winter Olympics in Nagano in 1998, and so I gave it to this cab driver because he spoke enough English, kind of asked what I did, whatever. I was trying to explain. So I gave him one of my business cards, and he stopped the cab and got out and started bowing to me. I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome. Like, get back in, get us out of traffic here before we get killed, But yeah, he was very, very excited to have my business card. So, good for him.
Yeah, it's still a big thing. I was over in Japan in 2009 to 2012. It's a very big deal. It's like one of the things you learn is like one of the cultural things over there when you give those kind of things out. I wish I had business cards, but I didn't.
I never realized business cards were like that. That's cool.
Yeah. But it's like, it's how you give it to them. You can't just be like this. Like, they want you to like take both ends and like give it to them.
Yeah, and bow. Yeah, my daughter was just there, and she's in real estate, and she took a bunch with her, and somebody told her, when you give me hold it with both thumbs and your pointer finger and bow and hand it to them. And so.
Yeah, I love Japan, man. That's probably one of the most safest places I ever lived in my entire life. I never locked the door at all.
It was the craziest thing when I was there.
I love Japan, man.
It was the first time I was ever outside of the country, and it's such a cultural difference. Since I've been to like Madrid and, Mexico like several times. But Madrid, I had a friend there and his wife, and the culture is basically the same. The language is different, right? But the culture is relatively the same. Mexico too, but Japan, just a whole different kind of world, so I was just blown away. And going through Tokyo, I'm like, no wonder they have this crazy kind of horror film, sci-fi kind of film obsession, because it's everything seems so big and crazy there, but
Yeah. I was going through downtown Tokyo, and you guys remember The Ring when it first came out with when she's rolling through the TV? They had a float, and this thing was like crazy detailed. There was a float coming down the street, a big, huge TV, and that thing was coming out with the hair hanging down. And I was like, I think I had a picture of it somewhere, but it's like they go all out in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever eat at a place out there, or like that's what Mike's saying, like I went to this one place. I took my wife to a ninja hideout restaurant. So we show up, and there's like this shady looking, like, it looks like a warehouse background kind of thing with some like plastic hanging down. And I'm like, okay. You go through, and they're like, and like some dude just flips down from the ceiling, like, I will seat you. I'm like, what? And then this door just opens up, and you're like following this dude down through like some waterfalls and everything into this like caged like jail area, and you sit down and eat, and everybody's like, oh, this is cool. So it's definitely on a different level. It's like they're years ahead of us.
The first thing that struck me there, I was walking through Tokyo, was like some of the streets are, 6 lanes of traffic, like 12 lanes total, right? 6 on both sides, and full of traffic, but a light turns green, right? And turn lane, people go, and then it turns yellow, everybody stops. It's an orchestrated dance move. Like everything just, and I'm like, oh, this is unbelievable, because in Chicago, everybody's trying to beat the yellow, honking. The light turns green. If you're not already moving, the guy behind you is on the horn. Like, what are you waiting on? It was just, I'm like an orchestrated, kind of like dance routine, the traffic there. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
I had some good times in Chicago. That's where I went to basic training up in Great Lakes.
Up north, Great Lakes.
We got up there. That was back in 2002. I was up there for basic training in A school, and I just remember jumping on the train to go out to Chicago to get some of that deep dish pizza. So good.
Yeah,
so good. That's pizza.
We had a good friend of mine who was in the Navy, and he was a merchant marine on the Great Lakes for a while, and they did their training at I think even that merchant marine school up there, Great Lakes. And so he was there in Chicago. He came downtown, and my partner and I were working, and so we picked him up, took him to dinner, and they were going to take him back to Navy Pier, I think is where they were docked. And he saw 2 of his classmates walking down the street, and he's like, oh, I'd love to he goes, I would love to mess with those guys, And I said, well, get down. He's in the back seat, because we had the detective squad car, which looked like a squad car. It was just unmarked, and it didn't have a cage, and he's behind us. I said, get down. So these 2 guys are walking. My partner and I hit the siren, and they look, and then they realize we're a squad car, and we got out and gave them the business, like, what are you guys doing over here? Like, this is not a legit play. And poor guys were scared to death, and we're good at that. We like, if somebody asks us to, we can, I've done that a couple of times. You don't want to overdo it, but we can have some fun with it. And my buddy, Tony's his name, he finally got the car. He's like, okay. He goes, you guys are scaring me. And they saw him. They're like, oh, thank God. Thank God. They weren't even mad. They were just so relieved that, it was a joke. That's a little cruel, I suppose. I mean, we weren't like threatening them or anything, but it was pretty fun,
It's awesome.
The firemen do the same thing. We don't pull people over. Well, there have been people that have been pulled over in ambulances before. I know of that. An EMT I worked with was also a police officer, and I don't remember. We'd had a long shift. We're coming back, and I'd fallen asleep. I'm like drooling out the window, and I hear the siren. I'm like, what do I call? He goes, I'm pulling this SOB over. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. Look what he's doing. He pulled him over, got out and rode him up, but give him down the road to ambulance. I'm like, they don't pull to the right when we're trying to go. So,
How about it?
But yeah. So
yeah,
they pulled over for an ambulance. I was like, you're either really stupid or
right. Well,
I would have pulled over.
It used to be back in the day, like you knew like you were in a rough neighborhood when you saw the paramedics in bulletproof vests. Nowadays it's a lot more common, to see them. But back in the day, that was pretty uncommon, and we saw it like, yep, yeah, no question. Now, if you didn't know before, you should now.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about being shot at and stuff. Oh, yeah, I've been shot at. Tried to stab me. It's been, good times. Yeah, I never came home and told my wife about that stuff. It's years later. She'll find every now and then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember this happened." She'll, you didn't tell me that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you were also held hostage in the
I've
basement.
been held hostage. Yeah, I've been held hostage. I still got one scene where a guy pulled a gun on me. PD is still not on scene of. So we took the gun out of his hand. It was a little revolver. We took it out of his hand. And I was like, if I get shot, I'm gonna get shot with a damn 32 revolver. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
Call a command.
So yeah, because we hit the button, call for PD, and they're like, "What do you need?" And I'm like, just got a gun.
Help.
He's aiming at us.
Yeah, help. Yeah,
I did discover 2 times I've done it, and we've hit the button, call for help. Dispatchers all, and this. Dispatchers always like, "What do you need PD for?" What does it matter? Right. And so
let's just take it on assumption that if I ask.
Exactly. I discovered you can get more police officers on scene when you push the button and dispatch asks you. The second time, if you tell them, dispatch advises them they're missing one hell of a fight. Oh, you get police officers coming, helicopters are dropping down, Secret Service is coming out of nowhere. It's the damnedest thing. I've done it twice in my career, fighting, and it seems like forever because, I don't know if you ever went through the training where they made you fight for 30 minutes for your life. That was part of some of the stuff we went through because you might have to, this. And 5 minutes seems like an hour. Yeah, and so, yeah.
The red man gear.
Yep. When you say that, they drop out the helicopters and come out of cars you've never even seen before. Yeah, I was like, okay, I know the secret now.
Yeah, we don't in Chicago. One of the things that's can be really entertaining is listening to the police scanner here. I don't do it. I never do it. And but because we don't use radio codes, really, very few, like 10-4 to acknowledge if you're a 2-man unit. So dispatch knows that, you're acknowledging yes, and like I got the call, or affirmative, or 1099, which is the same, except I'm a single person unit. So they know, you're by yourself. And then the only other one that we use is 10-1. And 10-1 is, you don't call, I don't know, maybe once or twice in my career I called a 10-1, but a 10-1 is like, I need help here yesterday, right? Like I am in big trouble. And you rarely hear policemen call it a 10-1, but when you do hear it, it is all hands on deck. And Chicago, is a big, dense city. It's not New York, but it's big and dense, unlike, like LA and Houston are spread out. So you can have, 50 or 60 squad cars in a scene in a matter of, 6 or 7 minutes sometimes. And it's pretty crazy. And that's probably the reason that, it escalates. People don't call a 10-1 very often because you don't want to get somebody hurt calling. But you can tell in kind of an inflection of someone's voice, like, and also you could just tell sometimes, like for us, is detective division, our call signs were always 5,000 something. So we were area 4, so is 5,400. So our commander was 5,400, and then like my call sign for years was 5,431. So if a detective gets on the air and I get on the air and say 5,431, could I get another car over here? That's an unusual thing to hear on the radio. So like you wouldn't get just one car. You'd have to say, I just need one car. Maybe somebody with a computer to run a name or something. You have to make that clear, because if you don't, you'd have, everybody flying over there because the detective is calling for assistance. Something good is up. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to be careful. But you could tell just sometimes where it would escalate. Hey, can you get this car? Like can you ask him to step it up? You hear that a lot. And then it'd be like, I need somebody here, and then if somebody actually hit a 10-1, that means they were losing the fight or getting shot at or, something pretty severe. But that's it. So that struck me the hardest when I was going through this training, when I was in that citywide gang unit. Our lieutenant, he's passed away, so I don't mind saying his name. His name is Fred Bossy. He was kind of a legend on the police department. Very good guy, stern guy, but he was like the tactical guy in the police department, and he was good friends with the LA SWAT commander, and he got, I don't know if you guys remember that big Hollywood bank robbery shooting that happened out there not too long after the movie Heat was released. It was a very similar situation where two crazy guys who had body armor they'd cut up and were covered with and had thousands of rounds of ammunition. And he had the radio transmissions from that he had gotten, that he played for us in this training, that he'd gotten from his LAPD SWAT guy. It's amazing to me to hear the calmness and the level of professionalism those LAPD guys had and women had, because you could hear the automatic gunfire when they're, and yet they're still they use the full line of radio codes, like, I don't even know them. I never learned them because it's not a thing in Chicago, but they're still using their radio codes, calm, like, I'm under automatic fire. I think I'm wounded. I'm like, listen, in Chicago, it's not that way. It's people cursing, screaming, give me some help over here. This guy's got an automatic weapon. It's like like you're having a conversation. It's pretty entertaining to me that we've never gone to that, and it's too complicated and too far down the road now that we'll ever do that probably, but it makes for some pretty entertaining radio transmissions,
In my fire recruit school, they came out, this is 20 years ago, and said, all right, well, we need to learn some police codes because you're going to be on scenes with them and stuff. So we had to, they had to teach us some of the 10. None of us remembered that stuff. None of us, not a single one of us remembered that, because fire, we'll use, like, if it's a fire with injury or accident with injury, we'll add an I. We'll say it's an I, or somebody's pinned. It's a P. It's a P job, a pin job. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, but yeah, that was the funniest thing. The police guy coming in there trying to teach us 10 codes, and we're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, well, that's the way we've been too. We've been like, you might as well be teaching us a different language. It doesn't make sense, I think the only other code I know is 1020, because it's like part of the lingo. What's your 1020? But we never used that on the air. Where are you at? Is what we'd say. Where are you at? You'd say the street corners that you're closest to. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it is funny how you do. We were always, I think, what they call it, clear text or clear voice or whatever. And you're right. Some of these guys, you'll hear. I heard a county next door to where I live right now, they had a working fire. And I don't know how they didn't get somebody killed as much as they were screaming on the radio. And I thought, my God, what is wrong with these people? Yeah, because we got used to a certain way. You get on scene, you do this. It's very structured, very organized, militaristic. And, so we were that way, but never thought about it. But I will tell you this, if somebody does get on the radio and start screaming, there's a problem, the whole thing goes to hell. Because it's like chaos has just arrived. Yeah.
One of the things, you have to really be careful of is to not, good dispatchers will take control of it, but a policeman gets shot or is really in distress, then people will have the tendency, and this is not not that they're doing anything wrong, it's just human nature to want to get on the air and say, hey, we're on our way, and but you're tying up radio time, right? Or you're tying up the radio. You don't want to do that. So good dispatcher will say, hey, look, units, you don't have to tell me. I'll assume everybody's going, and keep the air open, right? Because you need to, for the policeman who's in duress or his partners or her partners, whatever, to be able to communicate where they're at, what's going on, how many, what they're looking at exactly, if they're under fire, all those things. And if everybody is like freaking out on the radio, that's really hard to do. And one of the things as a really young policeman, I think this is probably true in every place in the country, is being cognizant of where you're at, right, all the time. And you kind of learn to, after a while, you get a feel, and you kind of know by a feel or by buildings where you're at. But one of the things you have to learn is start paying attention to street signs. You get a call, okay, this is the last street sign. So at the very least, you're under extreme duress, you can say, I know I'm north of Chicago Avenue, about a half a block on Ridgeway or whatever, you know what I mean? Just so you can get help there, because it's easy to get, even with experience, sometimes it's easy to get, kind of mixed up and unsure where you're at. And, that's dangerous. So that's one of the things that when you're training new officers that you really key on, is that you make sure you know where you're at all the time, be looking all the time. And, the good field training officers will just be quizzing you all the time. Where you at? Where you're at? They're like,
100 block, learn your 100 block and learn your street corners. That was different because I came to Atlanta, and it was, I had to learn a whole different city. Yeah. I got dispatched to a drive like 5711 Houston. And I'm looking in the map book. I can't find Houston anywhere. I knew how to spell Houston. After like third time, I asked dispatch to spell it. So that's Houston.
Right.
It's just,
well, we have two streets on the south side, Prairie and Perry. Prairie like a grassland, and Perry, Perry. And that can be confusing, if people are, especially if they're excited, and you'd hear people say, did he say Prairie or Perry? Squad Prairie or Prairie? Because they're close to each other a little bit, and but yeah, that's, especially under duress, all that stuff becomes tough.
I did hear it was Chicago. Now I think about it, a dispatcher that had officers that were down and shot at, and basically it was the scenario where I think he won an award for it. He kept everybody calm, told, shut up, get off the air, I know you're going. And listen, keep talking to him, keep talking. I want you, he kept the officer talking to him, and I think they ended up loading him up in a police car and taking him before we could get there, which has happened before.
Yeah,
I don't blame a police officer one bit for that.
Yeah, that was Ella French. When Ella French was killed, Officer, her and her partner were shot. And this a couple years ago, I was retired, obviously, but a friend of mine still working. Anytime I hear, there's a policeman shot, I call somebody I know still working, or text them and say, hey, what's the condition? Is anybody we know? Whatever, And that night, I texted my buddy, and he said one DOA and one likely, and thankfully her partner survived. He's doing pretty well. He's still, he's shot through the eye and through part of his brain, so he's had a really difficult long recovery, but he's doing really well, which is great. But unfortunately, Ella was killed. But that's the dispatch you're talking about. That guy did a great job, got a bunch of awards, and he should have. And that's that's the whole trick to that, is staying calm and trying to be a calming influence on, on the air, because everybody is freaking out. Everybody wants to get there. Everybody wants to, help. But you tying up the air is not helpful. But it's hard. It's just human nature to, where they at, what's going on, how bad are they? Those are questions that can wait, but it's really hard not to do it. You know what I mean? So a good dispatcher is critical, and that guy did a fantastic job and deserved all the, accolades he got.
Yeah, he did. He really did. As I don't remember what department I was with at the time, but we listened to it and we were like, wow, I wish our dispatchers were like that when we get in trouble. So yeah,
we went through a tough period here where we all of our dispatchers were, when I was young, were policemen or retired policemen, and they were just fantastic. You know, I mean, there were not every single one, but mostly they were really, really good. And you got to know the voice on the air, and they'd know you after a while. You know, it was really comforting, kind of like a smaller community. And then the city decided to privatize that. And there was a painful few years because, you know, you're teaching those dispatchers how to do that job, but they don't understand really what's going on and the urgency, especially, and how to kind of read that inflection in voices and understand, you know, and all of that. Now it's been, you got guys like with Ella French, or people like, you know, the dispatcher with Ella French who know now. It's been enough time. They have the experience. They understand. But boy, that was a painful few years in that adjustment where it was infuriating, you know, because you're just like, how can I tell you that, you know, like, stop talking and listen to me, you know?
Yeah. It's a tough job. When I first started, a lot of them were, that was what you did at the end of your career.
Yeah.
You know, with the fire, and especially fire and paramedics, that was what you did. That was the way you rode the chair out. It's not that way anymore. It's almost a highly specialized job.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Mike, we've kept you longer than we should have. Tell everybody where we can find you, what you got going on. And by the way, you are welcome to come back anytime you want.
Thank you very much.
Glenn, I got one thing I was going to show Mike real quick.
No.
Please.
Okay.
You know,
I'm not in a hurry, so you guys are whatever you need.
You know, I like showing off military stuff. So,
please.
So Mike, I was telling you that the challenge coins I got are a little obviously different than most. So this is the one that I have coming at the end of the month. It's going to be causing all kinds of problems at the airport.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that is.
Yeah. Look at that thing. Holy jeez.
So it's a Deadpool inspired coin.
That's
Another
amazing.
shot here. It's 3.5 inches in length with the ear there, and it's 10 millimeters in thickness. And that's enough to get the blades to go in.
Wow, that's incredible. Did you use what, carbon steel on that, or
no? We had to talk about how Tron coins are made, but they use like a soft metal in these factories. And they what they do is it's kind of like a big stamp machine. They have this big long piece of metal that just like they feed into this thing, and then as this thing's going down, just chomping away, all these little coins spit out, and they come up with what's called a mold, and that's what you give these guys to give you a direction of what the coin's going to look like.
Yeah.
So they don't look like this when they stamp them out. They're all just look like silver, but this definitely put like all the color on everything. But this one in particular, I always tell everybody I was in the bathroom. I don't know why I thought about this, but there's a movie coming out. The Deadpool movie's coming out. This logo is not actually technically there yet. The director of the movie, he was at the Super Bowl and he was wearing a hat, and somebody spotted him wearing that logo, and they're like, "Oh, that's a new logo." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Go with it, So it's a little bloody, but if you ever watch any of the comic books, they're literally just slashing each other up all the time. So
yeah, that's unbelievable. Those are magnets that kind of clip it together?
So two magnets cup it together there, and that's what holds it in the gate. So it's kind of like the blades are like a surprise. Like you walk and be like, "Hey, check it out!" Shing! You're like, "Oh," and then I'll stab me.
That's another one I'm not carrying around in my pocket, but still, that's pretty awesome.
Exactly.
That's yeah. I might reach out for you to maybe I'll do something like that for the
podcast.
Not knives. Not knives.
Don't go to the airport with that thing.
That's all I need. I've been sued enough, man.
No, at the end of the show, I'll have Glenn get your information, and we'll get something over to you.
I appreciate that. That's very nice. Thank you very much. And you guys give me your stuff. I'll return the favor.
All right, brother.
Yeah, we've got a coin made. We've not 100% discussed how we're giving these away, selling these, or what we're doing for the show.
Oh yeah,
we'll have to.
That's
tell
awesome.
us what it means. I never remember.
Oh, the Latin on there. Yeah. It's not for self, for others.
Oh, that's good.
Hold one more time, Nicklin. Hold up again. The words up there.
Yeah. No, you're good.
You can read it. I'm more about. I can't speak Latin. Non-city said Alice. Yeah, not for self, for others. And the owl and the two guys there, that was all AI generated.
That's
logo and everything. Yeah, that's why they're always calling me the AI king, because
nice.
Everything is
right. Yeah, well, I've started using a little bit to help me write some of the scripts. It's pretty cool, could be a bit dramatic.
Yeah,
I try to kind of be authentic, with, like you're talking to me when I'm doing my podcast, and those AI scripts, when you do them, they're like, oh yeah, man, look, we're not going to turn this into a Mel Gibson film here. You know what I mean? But it's pretty incredible.
Do you remember recently the officer in I think it was Escambia County, Florida, that unloaded his clip on his cruiser?
No, I didn't hear.
Oh, you heard it? Oh, yeah.
What did his cruiser do to him?
Well, so they were on a domestic, and he was called basically as transport. So he showed up. He was like second or third officer in. It was a domestic violence, and they were out with the subject, and they said, well, here, we pat him down again, load him in your cruiser. We're going to talk to the whomever, the spouse, husband, wife, whatever. And so he'd patted him down again, frisked him, handcuffed him, put him back in the cruiser, went back up to the house. And as he's coming back, he's walking on the passenger side of his, it's an SUV of some type. I don't know, Explorer, maybe.
Yeah.
He heard a shot. So he dropped to his knees, rolled to the back, like everything you're supposed to do tactically, rolled to the back of the cruiser, started firing on his own cruiser, and he's on the radio. I've been hit. I need help. And of course, everybody's already there for this other call, and they're like, what the hell? So they come, everybody comes running, guns drawn. He unloaded his clip, dropped a clip, put another one in, and fired 2 more rounds. And everybody's on the radio like, okay, you're hit. Where are you? What's going on? And he basically wasted his cruiser. The person in the back of the cruiser was not hit one time, luckily, because it was a domestic where somebody was saying he was doing something and he wasn't. So he was an innocent victim. I don't know whether would you just sit still at that point and you lay on the floor.
He's got religion now, I bet.
Well, there are multiple coins out there because of what happened, because they had a big investigation. They had to go back and literally recreate this.
Glad I wasn't the detective on that scene.
With the 3D scanner, the whole area, because they're trying to figure out how the guy thought he was shot from his cruiser. He didn't have a weapon on him. How the officer heard that and perceived that he was hit. Turned out, after they did this scan of everybody's body cameras, they put a computer there that scanned the area and everything. There was a squirrel.
Oh, I did hear about that. Dropped an acorn. Oh, yes. Oh, I did hear about that. Oh, man, I got so much gruff from people like, you got shot by a squirrel. I'm like, all right, take it easy.
He has his own challenge coin. There's a couple of them out there, but that one's my favorite, is the minion where
I wish him the best. I mean, I did some crazy stuff, but I never shot my squad car. I can say that for sure. Your
squad car got
if my squad car had shot at me, I'd have shot it, but it never did. So no squirrels threw anything at me. I'm lucky that way too. So I'm not going to sit in judgment. But
oh no, I'm not either. I would imagine there's probably some PTSD involved. And he literally reacted something. I'm just going to guess. But.
Yeah. You never actually, until that's why I always urge people, like, until the investigation's complete, it's really, nothing's what it seems, right? But yeah, that's a crazy story, for sure. I don't want to be the guy that, shot at an acorn throwing squirrel and killed my squad car, for sure. You know, I mean, I took enough ball busting just, you know, because I was from Indiana in Chicago, you know. So that's plenty.
Oh yeah, and you know as well, and Matt knows, if you do something stupid, it's gonna haunt you for a very long time.
Oh,
Maybe even your entire career.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah, you gotta have thick skin. I'm sure it's true in the military too. I mean, you just gotta live with it. Like, yeah, you know, yeah. Because if you let it get, you show any sign that, like, you know, it's irritating you, you're stuck, man. You're stuck. It's not. It's what's going to be, you know. So you just gotta say, yep, yeah. Owning that one, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know how he'll ever live that one down, because I mean, I've seen at least 4 coins out there for it.
Yeah, right. Well, thankfully the non-domestic violence guy didn't get hit. That's the best thing, because you know, now that's a problem of all kinds, you know what I mean? So you know, whatever is going on with the copper, I hope it gets worked out. But yeah, that's a tough one. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't imagine being the police chief or sheriff or whomever, having to go and stand in front, because it drew national attention.
Yeah.
You know, how it's calm down, everybody. It's a squirrel, and it wasn't squirrel season, but we got him. You know,
I know how I'd handle it if I was the, you know, the sheriff or the next roll call. I'd say, I want that squirrel in this office today. I want that squirrel found. I want answers. But that's why I was never anything above a detective. You know, I never going to take anything. You know, it's.
If he's still on the job, if he is still in the job, and I hope he is. If he isn't, I hope he get the help he needs. But he probably has stuffed squirrels showing up in the mail, inter-office mail. They're probably in his cruiser.
Yep.
You know, early in my career, I freaked out about. I thought I was delivering a baby in the backwoods of East Tennessee, and I freaked out as a young paramedic. And we went like flying through the streets at like 1,000,000 miles an hour to get to the hospital. She wasn't pregnant, but I got pregnancy test kits in the inter-office mail. I got stuffed baby dog. You just have to have turned out a few months later, she did deliver a baby, but she wasn't, according to the time, pregnant when I had her. But yeah. You gotta have a thick skin, but it look back on it. It was a learning experience.
Right. That's it. You know, when you're young, you know, you're a young policeman or fireman. I'm sure this is true in the military too. It's, you know, you're under scrutiny anyway. And then, you know, you do or say something, you know, out of school. I remember roll call one time. We used to have, you know, we go to work and homicide have a roll call, and the sergeant would lead it, and there'd be, depending on how, back in the day, we had, you know, quite a few homicide detectives. Some roll calls, you know, you'd have 18, 20 people in there, and you know, they go through what happened the last, you know, few days, murders were going on, if somebody needed help on a case, they're looking for somebody, all those things, you know, just to make sure everybody's up to speed. And they'd also make court notifications, so you knew, you know, if you had to go to court, or if you got some other on a rare occasion, you get notified you're getting an award. And if you got that notification at roll call, you had to stand like a statue, like didn't mean anything. Because one guy once said, and he was a guy that had some time on the job, you know, and I think he clearly wasn't thinking about it when he said it. And he said, they said, hey, you got a department accommodation, you know, and everybody would clap, and, you know, just kind of like a half sarcastic, half, you know, hey, good job, clap. And I think before he realized what he was saying, he kind of matter-of-factly said something like, oh yeah, it's my 15th one, you know. And It was on 15. Wow, look at this. You know, we got J. Edgar Hoover right here in our, you know, it was just, and you could just see he's like, oh, how could I be this stupid, you know? And for weeks, it was just like, you know, our hero. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been there. We had a animal rescue, and I got in trouble because every time you do it, if you had our truck, we had a squad. If the squad they did it, what we called a grab, you put a little star on there. If you pulled somebody out of a burning building, saved a life, you got a little. So it was like when you'd see a truck drive by and you see the star, it meant something, you know?
Yeah.
I bought a golden kitty paw and put it on the side of the fire truck because we rescued a cat. Nice. Holy sweet Jesus. You would have thought I murdered somebody.
Yeah. I got a life-saving award. Just I'm setting myself up for this same thing. I'm going to get text as soon as I get off from this, but I got a life-saving award once. And it was, my partner and I, it was kind of light snow. And we saw this car driving like a fool down the street, and it got sideways in this slick kind of, you know, little snow that had fallen, and it ran into a pole. So it was quite a distance from us. So we stepped on, we got up there, and the car, there's like fire, and a guy is trapped in a car. It like the engine compartment came back on. So, we did, you know, pull him out of the car. His leg was, he had a compound break in his leg and that, but we did get him out of the car. But, you know, we would joke later after he gives life saving, you know, the hardest thing about getting it was keeping the fire going until the sergeant got there. So, you know, we'd get the award, but we got the award, whatever. But I really didn't know who the guy was. I mean, he was in a lot of pain, and, you know, he's kind of half conscious. And so we drag him out, you know, the fire department gets there, paramedics get there, and they got him right. But then when they said, oh, we're going to put you in for the life-saving award, like, okay, you know, that's cool. Thank you. I saw his name. I'm like, this cannot be. And about a year and a half before, I was working with not my regular partner, but somebody else. My partner was off, and we stopped two guys on the west side, and we turn a corner, and they're right in the middle of a drug deal, one selling to the other. So we jump out and we grab them, and the guy with, as they're kind of calm at first, and you know, you make a decision whether you're going to arrest them or not. It depends on how much, you know, drugs is there, whatever. It's like how much time, whatever. It's not as automatic as it sounds a lot of times. But first you do this kind of talk to them. So you're talking to them, and you're going to cuff them up just for safety because you see their narcotics or whatever. Well, this guy starts fighting with me, and then the other guy tries to take off. So my partner grabs him, and I had hold of both of them for a second. But I started taking a real beating from the other guy because, like, I got one hand tied up and he's really knocking it to me. So I got to let that guy go, let partner deal with that, and get control of this guy. But he had all kinds of clothes on, and he was skinny, and I just couldn't get a hold of him. He got away from me and took off running. And so I got in the air and said, I'm chasing this guy, you know, and eventually we got him, and you know, got, you know, whatever. But I wasn't I didn't charge, like back then we didn't charge somebody with like aggravated battery to the police just because they fought with us, because everybody fought with us. And you know, but then trying to limit police, you know, overreacting to that, they started charging more of those people that fought with the police, you know. So but I didn't think too much about it. Get him, you know, we charge him with the drugs or whatever. I took a pretty good lumping, but not bad. I wasn't really injured. But a year and a half later, I don't recognize him, pull him out of the car. I didn't until I got a life-saving award for pulling a guy out of a burning car who had beat the hell out of me like 2 years before and almost got away. You know what I mean? Like, what is the odds of that, you know? But it's like, mid Chicago. It's a perfect place for something like that to happen, you know. So that life-saving award to me now has a lot of entertainment value.
That's great. You would think something like that would happen more like in a smaller town rather than
Right. It makes sense, right? Certainly not on the west side of Chicago, but you know, I never went to talk to the guy. I should have gone and said, "Hey, remember me?" But I didn't. There's like no value in that whatsoever. But,
no, there's not. Well, Mike, where is your show at, and where can they find you?
So it's Detective Story with Mike Hammond. It's on, you know, all the like Apple, Spotify, all those podcast things. It's also on YouTube. Same. I'm on all the socials. I think it's Detective Story Mike Hammond. And if somebody wants to reach out directly to me, my email's the best way. It's mike@detectivestory.net.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Mike, it's been a blast having you on the show. Usually we only have our guests for like an hour or so. We've kept you way longer than normal.
It's been great.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't feel like we're even doing anything but sitting around having a.
Yeah, I don't even. I had no idea. Yeah, it's been great. I appreciate you having me on.
Okay, no problem. And if you ever want to come back, just let me know. And when you get the book published, you definitely need to come back. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, don't hold your breath, but yes, when it because you might need a paramedic, but yeah, when it's done, I'll certainly let you know, and I'd be honored to come back anytime. You guys are doing a great job. It's fun. Right, and let's hook up with our contact stuff, and I'll get you guys some Chicago stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
excellent.
And the only thing I ever got for Chicago was a Wrigleyville. Was it Wrigleyville? It was the fire station right outside of Wrigley Field.
Yep, I used to live I used to live 2 or 3 doors down for that. I lived right on the left field foul pole at Wrigley Field for a couple of years, and then my then girlfriend, who now is my ex-wife, who I'm still close with. We have 2 kids, but she got pregnant with my oldest, and she's like, "We're not raising a kid here. There is no chance of that, you know." But it was fun while it lasted, living over there by Wrigley, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I've ever gotten from Chicago was somebody gave me one of their shirts. Or I was brand new, it wasn't off the back or anything. But yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Matt, y'all got any questions before he gets out of here? We kept him too long.
Yeah, let that man go.
Right, good. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
We will catch you soon. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.
That was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah,
actually,
great.
you know, like I told him, I didn't think we were gonna be that long. But we
push it to almost 8. Yeah. Well, 8 my team.
Well, you know, it's kind of cool and fun when it's somebody that you know, you feel like has been there and done some of the same things you have too. So.
Yep.
So Matt, you say it won't be until next week?
So I'm getting a sample on Monday. I'm getting 3 samples. I will have them for the next show, like full on. Yeah. But the actual order, I pre-sold about 170 now out of 200. And I was like, well, they're getting kind of hot. So I jumped down to 300. So wow. I have plenty of coins.
I don't even want to know. What is freight on that? $100 and some bucks, I bet.
For what? For freight?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. The supplier doesn't even tell me. They just say, "Here you go. We'll cover you and everything. Here's the price."
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
I'll be. Let's see how much they pay. So for 300, so I paid $4,080 for 300.
Yeah.
But now was that part of my money? I did pre-sale. So luckily I don't know if you guys know this, but on top of the new Joker movie coming out, the one before that, the Deadpool Wolverine trailer was the most watched trailer in history during the Super Bowl, which is the reason why I started it. Because if people love the movie, they're going to love the coin.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I asked one of my friends he collects Navy's coins and stuff. And I asked him, I said, "Is it a pretty big deal to get a coin from a chief?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a very big deal."
Yeah. Like I said, I give out. As you know, guys know, I give out a lot of the guns. A couple of Terminators once here and there. You know, the Major got my my Terminator one, but I learned a lot from doing coin business, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, Glenn, when it comes to how you approach it, so you don't have an inventory like flowing out of your closet.
Yeah, that's what I was about to show you the one that I'm pretty sure you.
Oh, you got the. Did you show the pickle? Did you show the final one at the last?
No, she has not.
She hasn't got that one yet. Okay.
Well, no, she got it, but where the hell did it go?
Where'd it go?
She had. It's not finished, so.
That looks badass. Look at that thing, man.
That is sweet.
Yeah.
What's the thickness on that thing?
3
Is it 5? 3 or 5?
No, it's not that big. I think it's just 3.
It's not too bad.
Well, no, actually, at the knife, it's more. So yeah, it is probably closer to.
It's 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
Oh man, that's heavy.
And oh yeah, it's pretty heavy. And the detail, what everybody was fussing about the flag. You know, there's like, let's not take this flag. It was giving me shit about it. And I can this ain't on that thing. And so I called him out. I was like, dude, the Texas flag got 1 star on it and it's white. This is an artist's interpretation.
Yeah. There's a lot of meaning behind what you're putting out there.
Yeah, and I think the person was just a little pissy about it personally. So oh, where did you go? Hold on. Am I the only one here, or where'd Matt go? There he is.
Right.
But I don't know where you went, but yeah. So yeah, they gave me a lot of grief because they're like, "Oh, it's not the color of the Texas flag." Like, well,
I saw the posts on the groups. They've got a bunch of interest, or it's kind of been hit or miss.
Hit or miss, and I'm gonna repost it a different way and get the people off of my back that are saying, "Oh, it's not the true Texas star color." Well, it's not. You're right, because if so, it'd be white and it'd be ugly. So,
that just screams America. Yeah, that just screams America. Get out of here.
And then, of course, let me put it up here.
Oh yeah, there's a patch.
My patch.
Yep.
I've sold a few of these.
Those actually came out pretty quick. You just got those?
Yeah. Well, dude, the one that came out quick, the one you and I were talking about, where we took Fred.
Oh, Fred Flintstone there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was quick
that
too.
One.
Huh?
Yeah, that one came out real quick.
Is that what is that? Is that a PVC or what is that?
It's fabric sublimation with the print, and it's
okay.
I can't say Velcro because it's Velcro's trademark.
Yeah, it's like a cloth. It's like a cloth. Yeah, with the back to it. Yeah. Yeah.
So got these for sale. These actually I'm selling these for about $10.
Oh, okay.
I started with I think it was like 12, but I think I'm down to like 10. I was like, it's a little much for.
Telling you, man, you need to get a matching Wolverine on there, man. Give Barney Rubble on there as a Wolverine, man. You can make a lot of money. Sell them as a dual piece.
Huh? Don't
take it.
Here it comes the next hour, Matt. I'm going to need you to this.
Yeah, that's exactly what it'll be.
Well, actually, I've been having some problems. I don't know if I told you this, but the ChatGPT and these other AI imaging models, they're not liking when you put in, we'll just say, somewhat copyrighted material. So, for example, if I put in Batman at a beach, that pop up saying, well, we don't have guidance that we're not supposed to do this stuff because it's copyrighted, blah, blah, blah. But you could do an off-brand thing, like something else that looks like it.
Yeah. We see when I'm on, I'm still doing, thankfully, that's one of our sponsors too, the Thin Line Rock Station. I'm on there Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon till 2 Eastern. And so I know you've seen the stupid little pictures that I'll make and stuff. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of that with AI. So they're like,
I was going to tell you, do you remember we had that talk about the alien Bigfoot coin?
Yeah.
How cool, and it's just me just spitballing, how cool it'd be if you were the first person to put actual Bigfoot hair on a coin.
I would
Think
probably
about it.
sell a
It's-
million of them. It would be
You know what I'm
great.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you got a picture of
Look at the
Bigfoot.
lights flashing now, Matt.
There's actual like they literally get it into the metal, like actual fur, and you could like, you know what I mean, like. But it's a
Can
cool.
they do that?
If they can do 3D, they can do anything, Glenn. Come on now. I told you they put sand and water in coins. They can definitely do that. I'll figure it out. But it can't be glued. It can't be glued. It has to be like, what do you call it? Epoxy resin. So you epoxy resin, like, you know, the length of it, and then you epoxy resin onto the surface of the coin so it you know, it's not going anywhere. And you can get anything. That's like, you can get into like any kind of like fabric or something like that.
Well, I designed a coin. This is a long time ago for was one of the Virgin Islands. The EMS is private contracted through the government here, and I did a coin for them, and it was in the shape of an ambulance. On the other side, it had the state seal, or not the state, I guess it's the country seal, and they wanted it in water, to appear in water. Took forever to get that across how I wanted it, and the colors and stuff.
Yeah.
But once they figured it out, it was wavy. It was blue underneath. It had aqua, and the state patch was on the back. And there's 100 of those out there somewhere that they gave away or were giving away. And I thought that was pretty cool design. It was this ambulance on one side, you know, just a common Ford pickup with a ambulance box on the back with their design just like theirs. And on the other side, it was looked like the ocean with the seal for the EMT and paramedic on it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. It took a lot of time to come out, but yeah, I thought it was cool. And I didn't get one of those. Usually I'll try and nab one if I create one for somebody, but I didn't get one of those because they were out of country. But
it's too bad.
Probably see them on eBay for $50 each or something.
Yep. Well, I've been a lot of my sales have been going overseas though. Like I have I think I got about 5 or 6 customers in Australia. And a lot of the first questions they'll ask is, are you able to do this? Can you ship to Australia or Canada or Japan or something? Yes, we can. Unfortunately, though, you know, it's costlier on our side, you know, to do it. But if you really, really want it, I've sent about 6 now.
Oh, wow. I think I've only had one, and it was to an APO box.
Yeah, well, that's probably going one of the ships for them. But I mean, like people who are actually like not affiliated with the military, like wanting to buy that stuff. Yeah. So that's the thing you're doing when you're targeting how, you know, who you want to get your challenge points. So that's just cool because then now they'll bring that to where they are, and they'll be like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And there you go. You get another way to sell.
It is kind of neat to see some of your coins show up for trade or whatever, you know, because people post to the groups that
Mario coin will not stop. I have non-stop emails for version 2. Did I show you guys version 2 already?
No.
Well,
the guy that posted a couple of your coins in search of, and I tagged you.
Yeah, he's looking for the golden one, the golden Mario one. So because he and like 100 other people want this thing, I was like, well, I guess I gotta do version 2. So this one is also AI.
Awesome.
So the dude who's in the ocean right there, of course, it was AI generated. You guys see it. It's a little hard to see, but he has barnacles in his beard, and the dude's holding a trident, and he's got like a chief cover on him. This one will be going back into the style of an actual like you know, like cartridge style, so it will be actually gray. But I just changed a few things, modified a few things, but this one will actually be bigger. This one will be, I think it's like 4x3 or something like that. Same style, everything, but actually will have the actual. Let's see, where is it? They have a little cutout right there. See a little cutout bottom. So it'll be about as close as you get to, you know, retro vintage, and of course it'll be serialized with the gold plate right there.
Cool.
The numbers. So yeah, this will probably be funded after the Deadpool. So, but a lot of people, you know, probably a lot of people. I get so much, and you guys probably get the same thing. Like, you guys are just hawking coins. You're only trying to get rich. We're not getting rich. We have an actual job. To me, it's just a hobby, right? So we move from one coin to the next. You know, we're not. It's not like I'm sitting here with all the money going Donald Duck. You know, like getting all this stuff in here. So no, I just move from one coin to the next. It's just the love of making something that nobody's ever made before. That's literally all it is, you know.
Well, I'm still sitting on inventory on some of them, but I made one for a station that it used to be one of my stations, and I probably should have pre-sold it a little bit better. I only got like 20 fails out of it, and I got 100 coins.
Yeah.
So I've had more since then, but it's like when you first started. So, but yeah.
Well, I also
them show up all over.
I also give coins away too. So I've had a couple chiefs ask me like, "Hey, we're looking for anybody to donate coins for like the next season, the chief season this year, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Like, I'll give them like 4 or 5 of my coins, And it's a little loss on my side, but again, it's the relationship, the bond, right? The coins, and it's more than just giving away free stuff. So that's kind of what we're online set up.
Yeah. Oh, I get it, 100%.
Yeah,
we get it. And have you had any cool coins come in the past couple days, or
just that one that I showed you the other day?
Oh, the EMS one, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what surprises me? There's very few EMS coins.
I thought about that because I make a lot of cheap coins, and I'm about to retire, and I feel like I should like move to a different area of coins. That like there's so many groups I'm a part of. Like there's a video game challenge coin group. It has like nothing like EMS, police, fire department, military, nothing on it. They're just literally selling like Mario coins, or something like that, But I don't know. I just thought about maybe opening it up to not just throwing anchors and everything, I guess, because not everybody's wanting to. Most of my customers is military, so that's why Glenn was like, "Must be nice." Like we were gonna ask him to give him some coins to sell during the show he's going to, but I have everything here, and I got all the most of the guys that buy him stuff here. So, on the other side, I'm thinking on the way out, like I don't know, maybe I should probably start to do other things.
Well, in I don't know, another month after that, there's a show in Gatlinburg, and I'm thinking about going to it. The show we did here in Georgia, I'm just going to be quite honest. I don't care if the guy's watching or not. He screwed me on that one. He set up the show and then canceled it, had me make a killer coin for the show and then canceled it the day before. I was like 1,200 in that coin, and it was stamped with a date. So he wanted it.
Gosh, no.
So
that's messed up.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah, he jerked me bad, but so the show, but I went to a show after that was set up in Georgia, and it was really small because it was kind of thrown together because it was like 3 weekends after the other show. It was kind of cool though to get to meet the people and hang out with other people who like the hobby and stuff, and I was pretty surprised. There was guys there that they had patches and they were like in cards indexed by state, county, city, that they had for sale or trade, and most of them were retired from the job, police, fire. So it was kind of cool. So there's a couple shows that, like I said, Gatlinburg's coming up. The only reason I won't go to Gatlinburg, even though it would probably be closer than what I'm going to in Tallahassee, is because of the sheer traffic. I don't know if you've ever driven to Gatlinburg or not, but it's a nightmare to get off of 407.
Yep.
Yeah. To get off of the 407, I love it, but to get off of that 407 exit and go up to the mountains this time of year is murder. So I was a local for too long. I know that, but yeah. So, but I think I'm going to do a couple of shows. The Tallahassee one's coming up was the 25th. I'm going to be there representing, of course, us, Thin Line Rock Station. I'll have patches for sale and some coins for sale. But I told my wife, I said, be prepared. You'll probably be at the table most of the time. I'm going to be wandering around, probably spending the money we're making. That's what happened at the last one. So
nice.
I came home. Oh, I don't know where it is right now. I did have it. It was a retired LAPD officer had come out for vacation and did the show, and he was selling replica badges from Adam 12, and they're actual pin-on badges, and they're just like they wore in the movies, and he was selling them for like $60 or something, selling them like crazy. And he walked by and he was talking to all the people. He's like, "Hey, anybody want anything out of this box before I leave? I don't want to take it back with me." And I grabbed the badge before somebody else. I'm like, "What do you want for this?" He's like, "Just give me $20 in a coin." I'm like, "Sold. Here, have these coins I'll never give anybody." So yeah. That's kind of cool. It's apparently the tradition with the LA Shield. They have it's got the building on the front and all this, but for Adam 12, they put a special banner on it. And that's like the Chicago Police Department, I'm sure, but it was for Hollywood, so
Cool.
they dressed it up and made it look real nice. So
Awesome.
yeah, that was kind of cool. That was cool. I was happy to get that. Even I have no use for it, but it's just cool. So,
Yeah.
Andy, how many coins have you got now? You've been going crazy with them, haven't you?
20. That last one I showed you, that was 26 I did to the collection.
You're getting there. You're getting there. I have. I've got an envelope of that I haven't even opened. That's been sitting over here for a few days. I need to open of some that came in. So it's been. No, I can do it right now. I don't. It's been that I've been so busy with this podcast stuff. That guy is absolutely right. Once you start doing podcasts, you have no idea what the heck you've gotten yourself into. But yeah, this is, well, I'll open it now. What the hell? I'm bored. Unless you guys need to go somewhere.
I gotta leave in a second. But here, let me share this real quick. Here's a more up close view of the Nintendo one.
What you got? Oh yeah.
Y'all see it now?
Yep.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
man, that is awesome.
Isn't that awesome? It just, so there's like a Chiefs Creed that you that I copy and pasted the whole entire thing into AI, and they said just make me an image based off of what I tell you, and that's what it shot out. So like it's
cool.
Yeah, it's anything.
This guy like tape.
Yeah.
Got tape on this one. Let's see, mobile. I traded and bought some stuff from this guy before. Well, good God, he's got even the little envelope sealed with tape. This coin ain't going nowhere. This is a rare Tennessee coin. I don't collect many PD ones. They mean something, but this one I thought was really cool. So you see an unboxing ceremony there. Tennessee State Trooper. That was cool. From the district where I worked with my EMS career in Tennessee. So yeah, that was kind of cool. Sweet. And then that's just a basic round one, kind of cool, yeah. And then this one I got. I should open these before. Sorry, guys. This one I got because the hazmat team's been taken over by a different group or different public safety. It's now by the sheriff's department.
That's nice.
So, Knox County has the hazmat search and rescue. They do all that now. So the sheriff's department does. So they took it over. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I bought that one. But that's the only new ones I got. I got one on the way that I'm afraid that the mail may have lost it. It's been shipped for so long. So I'll have to cross that bridge with the guy when I get to it and be like, hey, where's it going?
Yep.
Have you had that happen yet, man?
Nope. Actually, no. Yes, that did happen to me. My previous supply that I don't use anymore. By about 2 months.
Yeah, I had it happen once, and it wasn't UPS or US Mail's fault, I'm sure, but it just got lost, and I ended up eating it, and
that's horrible, dude.
But it was only.
Well, you guys file a claim though, right?
Oh yeah. I had one. I did a trade with a guy in Chattanooga. From Chattanooga to Atlanta is like 200 miles, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And mine got to him like 2 days later. 3 months later, I hadn't received it. And so he said, well, you've got to file the claim on your end because you were the one getting it. So I filled out the little post office thing, and I posted the actual pictures he had put on the group of what it looked like. 8 months later, the guy messages me and says, I got an empty envelope, and I got another envelope with nothing on it. That's the coins. The empty envelope was one he sent to me. It had been mutilated, so they stuffed it in something else. And in the coins, because of the picture, they found them laying on the floor, and they sent them back to him. He goes, you want them? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, hell, I'm not worried about it now at this point. But so, yeah, it'll come back. But Yeah, that one with freight is like Atlanta mail right now is sucking. So I've been trying to use UPS as much as I can. So
Yeah, use as much as you can, man.
All right, guys. Well, I know you got to get out of here, Andy. I'm sure you got better things to do than sit around.
No, actually, I don't.
So.
Well, I gotta go. I hear somebody in the room going, "Are you done yet?"
Surprised we haven't heard that.
Don't talk to me, boy. I'm busy right now.
Yeah. Hear the door kick in.
Yeah, you do that. I'm sure
Let's
you
go.
No, it's the wife.
I'm sure the missus would love that. All right, let me look at the calendar real quick and see who we got coming up next week before I forget about it before you get out of here. We have the Misfits tomorrow night, which is just us guys hanging out. And of course, you all are always invited over from this show. They're going to be just hanging out and having a good time next week. Wednesday on my show, on the Pair or Normal Guys, if I can bring it up, I have the Crazy Amazing J-Man, a self-proclaimed amazing shaman. That should be interesting. And then somebody that was on here a few weeks ago, Joseph, is coming on, Joseph Soul, to talk about his book. And then for us, the week after, this next week coming up, we have, hold on, let me pull it up. His name is Glenn Williams. He's a police officer detective, and he's written a book. So he's going to talk to us about the book. So you got that coming up soon. Other than that, Andy, you going to be anywhere? Are you going to be doing anything? Andy's creating a group. So we're going to start broadcasting in his fire photo group.
Yeah.
So. Matt, how about you? You got anything going on? You going to be anywhere?
Oh, yeah. No, I'll be everywhere. I'll be busy. But, I support you guys in spirit.
Oh, thank you. How much longer you got before you get out?
To the end of the year.
Well, let's hope they keep let's hope they keep it calm over overseas so you can get out. So.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I hate watching the news anymore. All right, guys and gals, we appreciate it. We will see you next week.
Alrighty.